Assalamu alaikum students. Our today's discussion is again on the topic of economy, and our today's topic is uh, economic development should transform lives of people, should not just economic figures, not just economic statistics. So basically, the topic brings us to a discussion that was a realization of the economists in previous decades, in 60s and 70s. The first paradigm of economic development was basically later different economists drew a distinction between what is economic growth and what is economic development. In start, various economists believed that they focused on more production, they focused on more industrialization, more goods and services, there more foreign trade, such things, more foreign direct investment. So these sort of things were focused, more infrastructure development. However, it was observed that despite growth of GDP, despite industrial growth, despite increased trade, the condition of people was not changing. So again, that social aspect of economy was ignored. So people, various economists, including a major voice among them is Mahbub al-Haq. So he said that instead of economic growth, it should be the human development that should be the focus of policymakers. So the economists and policymakers and statesmen realized that as long as employment is not created, as long as poverty is not reduced, inequality is not reduced, as long as education, health and housing are not provided to people, mere statistics cannot do anything. They cannot transform the lives of people. So this is our topic of discussion today, that economic development should transform lives of people, not just economic statistics. So first, if this statement is given in the paper of English essay, how would you tackle? First, it is important that you explore various paradigms, various policies of economists, which try to explore or which try to explain the concept of economic development or economic growth. So you can just trace out the journey of economic thought. After that I already discussed. After that, you would be discussing the distorted, the flawed, the wrong concept of economic growth or economic development. So what is flawed or problematic concept of economic development? In that concept, you would be talking about that GDP growth. GDP growth is the first thing that policymakers try to achieve. So that is a distorted concept of economic growth. So you know that that for GDP growth, you need to create more goods. You need to increase your services sector. You need to engage in more trade. You need to attract foreign direct investment. So it's a sum total of all goods and services produced within the borders of a nation. So all economic activity, basically consumption, production, consumption and distribution. So policymakers are basically focusing this aspect of economy. Then another distorted concept of economic development is mere focus on infrastructure projects. You are building roads, you are building railways, you are designing various buildings, you are building more, instead of educational institutions and hospitals, other sort of infrastructure is your focus. Now, this is easier for politicians because this increases their vote bank, this strengthens their vote bank. So, for a politician, instead of building a school or instead of building a hospital, it is more profitable to build a road. So that's what various politicians do, the various governments do. Their decision making with respect to uh, public sector development or public sector spending is limited just to infrastructure projects that exclude education and health. So instead of transforming, for example, instead of building shelter homes, first you need to build educational institutions so that the issue of poverty and unemployment is automatically reduced. So if you are promoting charity or such institutions, shelter homes, or such places where you are providing free food to the poor, so that shows a policy failure of the state, that the state has failed to provide unemployment, reduce inequality, and reduce poverty. So this is how this is problematic. This view of economic development is problematic. So the second thing is flawed infrastructure projects. I talked about some of the infrastructure projects or the reasons why the actual infrastructure projects that lead to fruitful results, they are ignored, and those infrastructure projects are focused that only increase the vote bank of political parties. Then there is another concept of economic development that should be considered flawed. That flawed concept of economic development is ignoring climate. So if sustainability is not there, if you are not adopting climate friendly policies, you are exploiting the mother earth, you are engaged in such practices in which your future generation or even the existing generation would not be able to reap the fruits of resources that you are blessed with. So if you are not sustainably using the resources of the state, then again this concept of development is flawed. And lastly, another concept of economic development is flawed when the distributory element is not there, when distributive justice is not there. So what actually happens is that your GDP is growing, so your per capita income is also growing. So per capita income would certainly will increase with the GDP. So if I am earning 100 rupees and elites or some other person is earning 1 lakh rupee per year or per month, so an average would be taken, an average of his earning and my earning. So in the end, the per capita figure would not be the exact depiction of the economic development in the country. The state of economic health of that state would not be depicted by the economic statistics. So that is why now per capita income may increase, but that doesn't show that my economic conditions and economic conditions of some well-off people are equal. So as long as the element of poverty and inequality is there, so mere economic statistics cannot improve the conditions of the people. So these are the flawed conceptions flawed concept, problematic, weak concept of economic development. So after problematizing this concept of economic development, now you can come towards that element of human development, that then how economic development should transform lives of people. So what examiner wants to know from you in this segment is, what kind of economic development transforms lives of people? So here you would be talking about economic development that ensures education, economic development that ensures decent living conditions, housing, economic development that ensures good health conditions, so that improves health of the people. You can discuss everything: primary health, secondary health, tertiary health, clean drinking water, sound quality checks, sound food standards, each and everything. So everything that ensures good health for the people, you can also discuss this in this point. So education, health, decent living, then gender empowerment. So women empowerment is another thing. Then you can also talk about climate mitigation and adaptation. So you can talk about the element of the principle of sustainability. So this is how lives of the people ultimately get improved. You can also talk about progressive taxation. Economic development also comes with increased taxation, because ultimately the revenues of the government are increasing. So economic if GDP is bigger, the education is the level of the tax collection would automatically be depicted from that GDP. So if government is increasing taxes, that doesn't mean that the situation of economy is good. So instead of regressive taxation, the government needs progressive taxation. So such taxation policies can transform the lives of the people. Then social security benefits. You can also talk about economic development that ensures social security benefits. So this sort of economic development transforms the lives of the people. Then you can also talk about you can also explain the reason for why just economic statistics are not enough to improve the condition of an economy. So you can discuss the issues that are created by lack of distributive justice in any society. So when that element of distributive justice is there, so a whole lot of issues is produced. Extremism and terrorism is produced. War between haves and have-nots, weak economy and authoritarian attitude of the governments, human rights violations, political instability, flight of the capital, increased corruption, increased economic inequality and poverty. So these situations would automatically emerge. If your economic if the concept of economic growth is or economic development is distorted, so because these issues would be created, so this aspect of economic development is not advisable. So in the end, what kind of suggestions you would advise to examiner, that how can we ensure such kind of economic development which transforms lives of the people? You have already explained that what kind of economy transforms lives of the people. Education, health, all these things we have already discussed. So what would you tell examiner in the suggestions? So here you would obviously be talking about your suggestions among different alternatives. That's important. That among different alternatives, what governments need to choose. So this choice is important if governments want to transform the lives of the people. So instead of other infrastructure projects, governments need to governments need to prioritize educational infrastructure. Then governments need to work on the skill development. Then governments also need to promote research and development. That's very important again. If economy wants truly to improve the lives of the people. So and after that, again, the progressive taxation, that is important. Social security benefits, that you would obviously suggest examiner in the way forward part, that governments need to ensure progressive taxation, and social security benefits are very important. Then inclusive concept of development, whether it is gender, whether it is underprivileged sections of society, or ethnic, cultural, religious, linguistic minorities. So inclusion is very important if any state wants to transform the lives of the people. Thank you very much.